We are live. All right, everybody. Man, y'all said we wasn't gonna do it. We doing it. The inaugural Hoop Jargon March Madness debate. This is something that we put into works. We took a lot of time to get people free on their schedules. We understand we're grown men. Everybody has something to be doing. That's different than this. So I appreciate all the participants being a part of this, man. So salute to y'all on that to start off. Now we want this to be bigger and bigger. This is gonna be something that we're gonna bring that nobody else is bringing you, man. Like these are two everyday individuals with a very keen knowledge of sports. And we're gonna let them duke it out, man. And I want y'all to understand, man, it's interactive too. So I'll kind of me and Chris top left, we can see Hendo, top right rather, you should be seeing. We're gonna step in and moderate, but we want these two debaters on the bottom to do their things. And so we just want you also, man, to first and foremost follow Hoop Jargon on all major streams. That's on Facebook, Instagram, like, comment, subscribe. Man, I want to keep this content going. I want to keep it bigger and bigger, man. And so just want to thank everybody who's a part of this. So Chris, without further ado, man, I want to introduce my homeboy, man, C. Hendo, man. You've seen him on a lot of stuff out here, man. Chris, tell people who you are, man.
Yeah, man, Chris Henderson, C. Hendo, man. I love sports. I love Hoop Jargon, man. Came to the group about 3 years ago, man. I think it's a dope group, man. It's a lot of individuals, Texas boys, of course. We got some different people out of everywhere, man. I just love talking sports. I love the history of sports more than just current sports. So, yeah, man, I'm glad to be here, man. Like, I think it's dope. We got some good individuals in here, and we're going to get more soon, man.
Absolutely, man. And I want, Chris, he sold himself way short. This is your plug right here to the NBA interviews, man. So he got all the catch, man. The last 2 weeks, he done had Terrell Owens, nice. He had Kendrick Perkins, Langston Galloway, Seth Curry. Who else you had, Hendo? In the last week?
Oh, man, in the past, like I've had, KD, obviously. That's a big one. Yeah. I just had Anthony Morrow. This week, I'm going to have probably CJ McCollum this week, probably. Nice. So, yeah, be dope.
Here we go, man. So, man. So we got some heavy hitters on this live, and so what I want to do is, of course, I want you to watch. I want you to get in my group. I have a lot of talent. So I'm gonna start off with my boy Brandon White, aka the Slap, man. Tell everybody who you are, man, and what you got going, man.
What it is, y'all already know. It's your boy the Slap. I've been doing the Slap show for 6 years. I had my 100th episode this year. Hoop Jargon has been a very, very productive in me doing this show. You can check me out on Instagram at the Slap 713, DASLAP 713. On YouTube, I have my YouTube channel, same thing, the Slap 713 at YouTube. I just love talking about sports, man. I've been a sports fan since I was in my mom's womb. So, and I just love to talk about sports and just bring y'all the sports the way I know how to bring it. So that's just the way it is right there.
It's the man right there, Slap. And I got a funny backstory with Slap, man. Slap came to the group. He dropped the video. He ain't asked nobody. He ain't tell nobody. This boy dropped his video. I'm like, man, who the hell? Little brother this is. Hey, you know what, though? It was terrible. Even my comment. It's bad, but it's good. I was like, man, this shit crashed. The camera ain't crashed.
It's bad, but it's good.
So I shout out to Slap, man. Like
it came a long way, bro.
You come along, and the Slap is one of the most consistent YouTubers. We gotta get his followers up because he has all this stuff chronicled. He is consistent. You've actually been a motivation for me to step my game up, brother. So salute you on that. All right. So enough with that. D. Brown,
man, salute you and keep doing what you're doing, my brother.
Thank you. So D. Brown, what you gotta say, man? Introduce yourself so we can get rolling.
What's happening? It's your man D. Brown. Been in Hoop Jargon since 2013, which is a trip just even saying that. One of the OGs of the group, one of the gray beards. Don't walk with a limp yet, so I'm still kicking.
There you go.
Hoop junkie, certified hoop junkie. I'm not trying to get rehabilitated. It's a lifetime sickness. I've accepted it. And that's just the way I'm going to roll with it. But love the group, love the interaction, made a lot of cool relationships. Talking about what I'm passionate about, which is these sports discussions. Love a good sports debate. Love a good argument. I love this format. We kick it off, and let's get at it.
There you go, man. So, and his brother Darron Brown got a lot of keen old school knowledge. His brother played at LSU. So we got these brothers representing their hometown team. We got Slap representing God's team, the UT Longhorns, the Texas Armed
Hook 'em, baby.
And we got D Brown representing the current national champions, the LSU Tigers out there in Swampy,
yes,
Dirty Valley Rouge.
Like my boy Coach Joe say, go Tigers.
Hey, before we start, my niece might be going to LSU there, my buddy.
That'll work, man. We so
There you go. Good love, man. Good love.
It's between LSU and Kentucky.
Oh, okay.
Come
on.
More power too. All right. So without further ado, let's get into topic number one. So as we all know, number one prep star Jalen Green has made. Let's see. What you said? Okay, so Jalen Green has made news for being one of the first athletes to be a number one prospect, akin to how LaMelo Ball has done and went overseas and went to Australia. He's one of the first athletes to take a G League first start contract where you are basically foregoing college and going straight into the quote unquote professional realm in the G League.
Right.
So you tell me, fellas, is this a smart move or is this just kind of reflexive? So Slap, we'll start with you, man. What's your opinion on Mr. Brown's decision?
Mine on that decision, I just say it's a bad move in my decision because you know, you ain't gonna really get that TV exposure in the G League. I mean, you're gonna get talked about. You know, they're gonna, since you the number one prospect coming out of college, you might change the game as far as the TV exposure that they're gonna get in the G League, because you know you really don't get. I mean, you get the G League games on, but they be on NBA TV at what 2:30 in the afternoon. I mean, people be at work at that time because they ain't gonna play. They ain't gonna play the games at nighttime when NBA going on, so you ain't gonna really get to see his talent just on a nightly basis on what he can do on the floor. Yeah, you'll get highlights and you'll get that, this, and that. But on the college level, that 1 year, that one and done, you know, you go do that one and done. You go to what, Duke or somewhere? You go to a big time college. You know you're gonna be on TV every Wednesday, every Saturday, every Monday. You're gonna always get that TV exposure. I understand the money. I don't know his family situation. Maybe that, you know, it could be his family situation or something that he's going for that money. But now they didn't change that where you can get paid for your likeness in college. So I just think you should at least get that 1 year of college ball in you. Just enjoy that college life.
Okay. That's pretty solid.
That's just where I'm at with it.
All right, Darren, what you got, man?
Man, you know, it's interesting to take. I'm surprised myself with the take I'm about to expound on, and I'm gonna respectfully disagree with my boy Slap. And mind you, I'm coming from the era where cats didn't jump. I mean, that was a rare, right? You know, especially in the 80s. I mean, you know, you watch players and got to know them and identified them and their programs basically over minimum of 3-4 years. You know, the Olajuwon era, Patrick Ewing era, you know, Tim, you know, I mean, just even on into the early 90s. I mean, you know, you look at Jordan. I mean, Jordan played through his junior year in North Carolina, but the dynamics have changed. And I was fortunate enough to watch Jalen Green do his thing this past year. And even though I was vehemently against mediums like that, I recognize now that that's changed. And to Slap's point about the exposure, I think he makes a valid point. But reason I think it's a good decision because I think it's going to bring about some significant change with the NCAA.
Mm-hmm.
Because NCAA has, you know, Cliff, as you know, they have held the NCAA athlete for decades. And, you know, these guys are ready. The money isn't going anywhere. I think you being in a medium that, you know, to have you hone your skills in lieu of, you know, maybe like Slap was saying, the weekday and weekend exposure, and perhaps even going to a big program and being in a tournament. I think that medium is going to be there for them anyway because the NBA is identifying this talent a lot early. I think it's going to bring about some significant reshuffling in the NCAA that probably has to happen. And I think if you can, put yourself in a medium to get it now, then go for it.
That's great points on both sides. And I want to throw this caveat out here. And it's a great question, actually, from Christian G, man. Shout out to a fellow Hoop Jargon member. And so now, knowing what we said, so Slap, it seems like you're more of a traditionalist. Darron, you're more of a progressive, which is crazy because with the age difference, you would think it would be the other way.
Yeah.
So I respect both perspectives. So
Right.
let me ask you this. So did the G League make this move because of the JBA? I'm sorry, the JBA, JD, I'm saying, or other, because of the JBA, or was it too mainly for the college program? So basically you're asking, do you think they made this to kind of nerf what the JBA and LeVar Ball did to kind of offer this new program, or is this something that's just on their own organic fashion that they came up with? What do you guys think?
You go first, Darron. Go.
All right, yeah. Well, I think
Darron, go ahead.
Yeah, Christian poses a good question. I think it's more geared. I think it has much more to do with the NCAA. And with the NCAA, two things: the NCAA and like the kid today, just because of the rule that's in place. I was a longtime proponent of them being NCAA, or excuse me, the NBA having a rule like the NFL. A 3-year like requirement or commit or a requirement to be out of high school 3 years before you can enter the league from a developmental standpoint. Mm-hmm. Again, I was a longtime proponent of that. My position on that has changed, and I don't think it's going anywhere. And because of that, I think Silver is actually getting out in front of the inevitable. Is the way I look at this. So, to the question, to Jalen Green's, stance on this or his movement on this, I think because Adam Silver is doing what he's doing and getting out in front of this, because now I think it's just come down to a base competition between the NCAA and the NBA. And I think the NBA is going to win until there is a drastic sea change and how the NCAA does its business. And if they're not going to do that, then why would a kid with Jalen Green's talent, risk injury, risk, possibly sacrificing millions, even if it goes to a lesser pro league that's attached to the NBA.
Okay, so Slap, what's your rebuttal to that progressive type of situation that they're kind of taking on this?
Well, with the NCAA and how they've been fighting. These kids been fighting about money for, quite some time throughout the NCAA history of sports, because they felt like these schools have made money off of them and just has drained them throughout kids' career through sports. But the NCAA they really just have a problem on their hands with this happening this year with the number one guy. You can even say LaMelo. You can say LaMelo is a product of it, because he left his junior year in high school to go play overseas. So
yes,
it's just the NBA is going to win. That's just plain and simple. The NBA will win whatever they have going on with the NCAA. And if a kid wants to do what Jalen Green is doing, they just going to see how his step went, how he made his step to the G League, and how it went for him. He still, if he's the number one pick coming out of his year when he come out, he's still gonna be number one pick when he come out the G League. So if he is that type of player, it's gonna always be there for him. So I don't knock anybody for going to get that money. And what Darron had said about the 3 years, I was a big advocate of that in basketball. I used to say, man, they need to, because it was watering down the league in the early 2000s. The league was getting watered down because you're getting these one and done players, and they come to the league, they go sit on the bench for 3 years, then you go send them to the G League, and then they come back and they didn't travel around 3 to 4 teams. So that's how I just look at it. But the NBA, when it's all said and done, the NBA gonna win. And then when they started this G League, so you can come out of high school and go to the G League, that raised some antennas for a lot of kids, man. So we just gonna see how it pans out. That's all. I can't wait to see how it pans out.
Okay, all right. So I got a little scared. So we're good. We online. My computer kind of slowed down. All right, okay. Great valid points on both. Chris, you got any input before we move on?
Yeah, I got a rebuttal question for both, and I like what Darren brought up about development. So obviously, I have a chance to go into the locker rooms and talk to a lot of coaches and stuff. And I asked this question to both of you guys. So I'm gonna give you an example of a 4-year starter or a 3-year starter versus a guy that was a freshman. So Evan Turner. So you guys know Evan Turner. Evan Turner was a college like phenom, like college product. Like we know his numbers. And then we get Ben Simmons. 1 year done, comes to the league. You know, we still got our questions about Ben, but I feel like from a standpoint, I'm gonna ask you guys this. Why not let them sit the bench and let them develop in the NBA standpoint? Because the thing is this, being in college, one thing I've asked players is this. What's the difference between college and pros for is like learning the NBA? They said the part of being there because it's harder to be around kids versus being around grown men. And I think that like being able to be groomed like in football, Aaron Rodgers sat behind Brett Favre, right? And learned. And he became Aaron Rodgers. Tony Romo didn't become Tony Romo. He sat all those years to learn how to be. So I'm going to ask you guys this. Do you think that it is a development issue because it's a progressive league? 5 years ago, Derrick Rose is one of the best players in the league. Now he's not so much of an afterthought, but the league changes so often. It's a young man's league now. So do you think that's an issue?
Do I think just so I'm clear on your question, Chris, do I think the development part of it is you talking about from just being a challenge of developing into a pro?
Yeah. Do you think that like should it be like you mentioned the 3 and done thing, like go 3 years, you have to go 3 years versus like sitting the bench for 3 years and learning that way? What would be the subtle differences?
Well, for me, Chris, I think you touched on a point that I brought up just a second ago. You know, I was completely on the opposite side of this, you know, for years, but just in watching the game, like you said, it changed. What I'll give you a little inside perspective. What changed my view on this directly, and I got some direct exposure. My brother was a coach with in the inaugural Texas Legends year. When Nancy coached. He was Nancy's intern, as a matter of fact.
Okay.
And so I went to a lot of those practices, just watching, observing. Spud's a real good friend of mine. So, of course, his position there with the Texas Legends. And watching, like, some of those guys, I saw Sean Williams, who saw a little bit of NBA exposure. Reese Gaines had come through there. Sean Kantz. I mean, these guys was studs at their respective stops. But I saw, borderline guys like Justin Denton, right? A guy who filled it up at Washington and basically became kind of a career developmental guy. And just watching that medium, I was like, you know what, man? This is, and Spud and I talked about it a lot. It's like, had this medium been around when you had like fringe guys like he was, if this medium had been around, it probably would have been better for them to transition, for the pro game versus, going and doing 3 years on somebody's campus. So that's where my deal changed. So to your question, I think this format is going to be, more progressive in helping a kid develop that's a top talent. Now, that median, kind of fringe talent that actually needs that development just from a pure basketball standpoint, but when you got a talent, like I said, I saw Jalen Green play. I was like, if he gets around pros and learns how to practice like pros, learns how to prepare and eat and do all those things that pros do, I think his development is a hell of a lot faster than spending 2 years on college campus. That's where I'm at.
Man. I'm landing with you think, man, because I know you mentioned development. Like, you've had a couple of guys come through the Rockets, right? That obviously G League guys. That So what do you think about that?
My take has always been, and I've always had this debate. My take, the 3 years, because like I say, it was a watered down. It was watered down for a second. My thing is, there's some players that are ready to come out after that first year. They have that development. They have that talent, and and they just the IQ of basketball is higher than some of those that's like I say chasing the money. Because you got a lot of them that listen to the wrong people and they get out there and they chase that money, and that's where they get to the league and you see that their work ethic wasn't this, their work ethic wasn't that, and now you see them they on the bench and they not playing and they getting frustrated because they so used to always being the what they call it the BMOC, the big man on campus, even when they was in high school to college. Now when they get to the NBA, it just ain't translating because they felt like they was ready to just step in there right then and there. And me, if you come out that first year and you go sit on the bench for 2-3 years in the NBA, why not just stay in them 2-3 years in college, work on your game, work on what you need to work on? Because each year you gotta come back better than what you was before. You can't just continue to play the same old game in every year that you come out there and play on that basketball court. You got to be working. You got to go do something that's gonna give you a level up on somebody. You can't just come in there just off your raw talent thing, okay, because I got this talent, I can do this. No, you got to work each and every year. So instead of just sitting on the bench getting that check in the NBA, why not them extra 2 years in college, you go and work on what you need to work on. So when you get drafted, like I say, if you projected the #1 pick in your freshman year, why not you can't still be that when you come out your junior year? That's all I have to say right there.
Let me ask you this. Okay, so in very valid points. I love both of you guys' takes because y'all kind of got the progressive again in the traditional route. Because you're right. In the 2001, 2006 era, there was a big disparity of lacking talent, not from a standpoint of having aptitude, more or less, you being a complete player. That's a problem the NBA had, and they had to switch the dynamic up during that time. But let me ask you this. So what about guys like Ben Simmons, who, at Darron's alma mater, played at LSU, and let's be frank, he wasted a whole year of his life at LSU because a myriad of reasons. A, he was bigger than his profile in the NCAA, so he lost money playing for LSU Tigers.
Yeah.
B, he played for a team with guys who thought they were better than him, which they weren't. And so he wasted time as far as playing that condensed space of how a college system is with running sets, half-court offense. Ben Simmons is not a half-court offense guy. He's 6'9", can run the floor like a gazelle, can pass the ball like magic, athleticism like LeBron. So he wasted a whole year. And then he said himself, he didn't care. He didn't give a shit about school. So what would you say about cats like Ben Simmons, who are kind of almost like shout out to Carol Baskin and Joe Exotic. You're a caged tiger into the NCAA. How does that play? So how does this dynamic play to guys like that who clearly they had no business playing NCAA sports?
Go ahead, Slap.
So what's your school?
Well, on that about the Ben Simmons, he that 1 year of college was a waste, a whole waste, but it also he could have worked on what he needed to work on while he was there.
Okay.
I always care about your craft. No matter where you go, care about your craft. Care about what you're gonna do. I understand that you ain't want to be there, but you had to go. The rules in place for you to go 1 year. I mean, he could have went the overseas route. Who's to say that he went to overseas, came, and he still would have been the same player? Because you got to work on your craft. That's just plain and simple. And if he didn't want to be there, just work on your game. Get better at what you need to get better at because you're not a 100% complete player. You still have flaws and holes in your game. That's where you use your platform, your channel, whatever, to work on what you need to work on to get yourself better. He could have worked on at least getting him a mid-range jump shot while he was in that 1 year of college. Work on getting that. Work on getting better at certain things that you need to get better at as far as being on the basketball court. Because I know he wants to run. That's his. I mean, shoot. If Philly would speed it up, then they might have a better chance in the East if they speed the game up with Ben Simmons. Because that's what Ben Simmons like to do. He is and what Cliff said, he's a Magic Johnson type player at 6'9" that can handle the rock, do what he do with the basketball. Is what I'm saying? We didn't see that until Magic Johnson when he came in the league in '79. We ain't see that.
Agreed.
You see a 6'9" player can handle the rock with the speed that he has with the ball in his hands. He's a different player when he got the ball in his hands and the speed of the he might look like he's slow, but when he got the ball in his hands, it's a different speed of the game with it.
Agreed.
He just got to get people to run with him. They just got to get some more shooters around him and stuff like that. But like I say, he just got to work on your craft. And even though it's the situation is at hand, wherever the situation may take you, work on your game to get you better at what you want to be, so you can be the best at what you're trying to do.
Okay.
And people won't have to. Oh, we just gonna back up our Ben. He can't shoot. No, just get you a mid-range shot. You ain't got to go out there and shoot threes.
Okay.
Get you a 10 to 15 foot jump out there, and I promise you, you'll kill the league if you get that.
Fair enough. Okay. Well, all right. So, and I understand that it's hard to tell an 18, 19-year-old to do that on that level, on that stage, but I definitely understand it. So, Darren, what's your rebuttal to that, and we move on to the next topic?
Okay. I agree with Slap's take on the commitment to your craft. Where I would disagree with him is the medium now that's in place, which is why my stance has changed on a player, any college player, but a particular guy like Simmons. Yeah, Simmons did waste a year in Baton Rouge, no doubt. I hated it for obvious reasons, but he did waste a year. Now, go back to the development thing that Slap brought up. When you go back to yesteryear, that was the medium. I look at a guy, Cliff, you'll appreciate this. I look at a guy like LaMarcus Aldridge, right? If LaMarcus Aldridge was the shit coming out of Sealy, right?
Yep.
And you look at Aldridge, and could Aldridge have come out and been effective after year one at UT? No doubt. Do I think his going back for his second year was beneficial to him to have the career that he had? No doubt. But here's the thing on development, and I'm going back to what I was pointing out with you, Chris. Because the NBA now has this medium in the G League, right? My brother, Slap, was a player development coach. That's all they do is work on making you a pro. So you learn. So the NBA now has a mechanism in place to allow that elite player coming from the lower ranks to develop in the pro system as opposed to wasting that time on the college campus. Ben Simmons would have been way better served working with because they have pro coaches. I mean, there was like guys like Eddie Nahara was working with guys.
Nahara, oh man!
You had a coach on the floor, and Antonio Daniels, who was a point guard, who's basically an extension. You had Nancy Lieberman. I mean, obviously there's a wealth of knowledge there. You had
Nick Van Exel.
Nick at Night, and I'm trying to think of the first coach they had, the Charlotte Hornet. His name escapes me.
David Wesley.
David Wesley. Yeah, matter of fact, he and I got really cool at. So you had, and David Wesley was a guy who came up from the bootstraps. So again, learning how to practice, learning how to, again, working on your craft. Like I said, my brother was a PD coach, so they're working on mid range. They're working on release. They're working on coming off screens. They're working on those things now. They have that medium in place. To develop you at the pro level. And I think it was Christian's comment earlier about, Sharif Abdul-Rahim saying that, it's better to have a medium. We can develop our players here as opposed to going overseas. I think that applies, the same logic applies to you have an elite level talent like a Ben Simmons versus wasting a year on campus like you did at LSU.
Okay. And I like that. And then, go ahead, Chris. You got something?
And what I will say is this before we close this part of it. The thing that we all probably need to look back at, we don't realize how Luka Doncic and LaMelo Ball is going to change the league, how players are developed. Because I think the thing is this, Luka Doncic doing what he did kind of made it look like, well, dang, man, these overseas boys are coming different now. Right. Because the whole thing with Luka was like, okay, well, he's played against grown men there. Let's see how he can do it here. And he excelled. Yeah. And now you look at LaMelo Ball. Like, look, man, I'm around a lot of these scouts, and there hasn't been a single scout that I have not talked to that don't think LaMelo Ball is going to be one of the best players in basketball. They think he's ahead of the game already for what he can do skill-wise. And think about this, guys like him having that overseas experience, but then you get the Moutiers who went overseas and it didn't work out. The Brandon Jennings who went over there and it didn't work out. But then you get a guy like Luka who's been around grown men his whole life. And I think that's the issue with USA basketball because we kind of we don't coddle the great players. Like, think about this. If Ben Simmons was able to go to a gym and go practice with LeBron when he was 14 or 15 and play against NBA guys, get a feel of it, we talking about a whole different situation. But we kind of put him.
Oh yeah.
He's playing against lesser talent. Like, look at Zion.
Different situation.
Like, look at Zion. Zion's a good example. Yeah. Zion's in Carolina playing against those guys, right? We've seen the guys he was facing. It wasn't nobody special. It wasn't nobody special out there. Like, he should have been already at the point where we can say, you know what? Let me go see him and his body type already go play some grown men now.
Yeah.
And I understand. And to me, like, it didn't really help Zion because we knew Zion was a physically good guy. But yeah, Luka Doncic, man, that's the guy that we're going to look back and say, damn, man, because a lot of guys who didn't understand that were draft experts, they tried to use he's international, but they didn't realize this was a rare international guy who happened to just be very great already. He wasn't your Mario Hezonja, different guys like that, but that's just a quick thing. Luka Doncic, LaMelo Ball, the way these boys have been playing overseas, they're coming different now. And now USA Baseball has pressure because now it's like, okay, they developed Luka. They put Luka out there at 13 years old versus grown men. What do we have over here?
He's been playing
in the League.
What do we have over here? Like right now, we got a couple of 13, 14-year-olds right now. Like, think about this. Imani Bates. Y'all know about the kid Imani Bates.
I heard that name. Yeah. He's a sophomore, right?
Yeah, he's the next KD. That's what everybody says. He's KD.
Yeah. He's a sophomore, right?
Yeah, so think about this. Imani Bates right now, if he was Luka Doncic overseas, he would be playing with grown men right now.
Yeah.
Just think about that.
Yeah.
Think about it. So, yeah.
You're right.
Yeah, so I just think that, like, Luka, man, made a big difference, man. Like, I didn't think at the time when the Mavericks drafted Luka that it would be such a big deal. But then talking to Donnie Nelson, talking to other NBA, like, execs, Luka really changed how people are going to draft now. They're not going to look at how good you are versus – they want to see you versus grown men because now it's a now league. Think about this. If Luka was bad, he's a bust already. Think about this. Marvin Bagley is getting called a bust.
He's getting called a bust.
He's getting called a bust because guess what? You had to put him next to Luka.
Harry Giles is a bust now. Harry Giles was a big name 2 years ago.
Harry Giles.
John Maker 3 years ago, bust. You know,
Thank you.
It's tough, man.
Thank you. It's a tough league. It's a tough world, man. Like now, I hate to say it, man. Luka is a gift and curse in the NBA. And that's what's going on.
Your name, Seventh Woods.
Oh my God! Yeah.
It's a sink or swim situation. All right, man. This is a great discussion. But let's move on. We've been on this for a minute. I love the dialogue, man. Let's keep it going. All right. Let me go ahead and transform real quick for y'all.
There we go.
Let's go. Y'all tell me what's up with my boy, man. I done invested this authentic jersey. See, I got the little snow.
Oh, Lord, no.
You know, I'm making money in Jersey, man. Tell me what's going on with Dakota, Wayne, Prescott.
Look.
Let me start off.
No, I want Slap to get it first.
Okay.
I transformed on them boys, man. What you got, Slap?
I think he may be lagging.
You lagging? All right, D Brown, go ahead. And then when Slap get back, we get him back.
All right. So, on what? I mean, just give me the vein in terms of what's going on with his contract situation.
Right now, we're at a stalemate as far as the long-term situation with that. Obviously, he is being franchised. So, obviously, he's still a part of the team. So, he has omitted doing the online virtual training, whatever the hell that is. How do you do online virtual OTA? I don't know what that is, but
that's a crazy deal
of going. So, I guess my question is, how do you think this situation plays out from what you've seen so far? Obviously, Darren, you're a Dallas Cowboy fan. How do you see this playing
out? Ultimately, I see it playing out where he is. I think they'll reach an agreement. I think he's their guy. But here's where I'm at on this. I think there's two things, and I'll keep it brief. From Dak's side of the conversation and the Cowboy side of the conversation, because I think this kind of ties in a little bit in a very cool and eerie sports way, kind of what we were just debating on the last point. The dynamics have changed in terms of the team negotiation, right? Because I see this Now, Dak, first of all, kudos to Dak's representation. Okay. Dak's representation is on point. I'm not discounting, Dak's abilities in his input in his own deal, but his representation is on point. The thing is, I think there's a dynamic in place here, and I think this deal is going to be huge, not only for the Cowboys going forward, but I think it's a lot of teams going forward, because when you look at what Dak has done, I mean, here's a guy who's now earned his seat at the free agent table. He's done everything he was asked to do. The guy came in, he was literally named a project when he got drafted. Yeah. That was the word given him. Project.
Really a project.
He was the supplemental pick of the 4th round, named a project. So this kid, his incumbent gets hurt. Guy he was supposed to be, as his understudy, he gets hurt. He comes in. The kid has played 64 games, been there for all 64, and has progressed throughout 4 of them. Earned his money. Didn't, as a matter of fact, it would have been understandable if he would have griped, hey, man, after year 3, bruh, can we talk about a contract? He did none of that. That man went out there for 16 more games on a $2 million starting quarterback salary and had the best season of his career. All right. And now he's wanting to play the game kind of like the NBA guys have done with the shorter contracts. Hey, man, let me do on the shorter deal. Let me get the fat money. I want the money. Yeah. But let me get the shorter deal so I can get to the next deal. And you know who changed that dynamic? Where I think Dak is from Dak's perspective, changing the game? Kirk Cousins.
I was just about to boy.
Kirk Cousins' deal. Everybody talks about Goff and everybody talks about Wentz, and those guys' monies play into this, right? They absolutely play into it because those are his draft picks. But Kirk Cousins really changed the deal. All Kirk Cousins did was, okay, y'all don't want to commit? I'll take that top 5 money, which right now would be about $33 million. I mean, because Dak's not losing here. Let's throw that out. $33 million for 1 year. If he doesn't, if he signs a tag and that's all he's playing on, that's winning. Okay? Because guess what? Yeah. That's not one quarterback last year whose actual salary was over $30 million. That per average stuff is for the headline. Dak is going to make, if he doesn't do anything but play on his tag, $33 million. That's the one thing. But what I like what Dak is doing is challenging the Cowboys. I'm like, bro, I'm not just going to lay down and let you contractually tie me and you dictate my terms on how long I've been there, especially if I continue to progress like I have been. I want to get to that next deal like Kirk Cousins. I like that second-year tag where I'm guaranteed 20%. I like that 3-year, $84 fully guaranteed, $84 million fully guaranteed contract for Minnesota. And guess what? Kirk Cousins, he gonna lick again after this 3rd year's up. So Dak Prescott sees that and it's like, man, I want to play. I'm your guy, but don't tie me to this, and I'm not going to accept it. On the other side of it, with the Cowboys organization, they got to play this right because they're not signing.
Let me stop you there before you segue because you got brilliant points. I won't get slapped in here because he just
go ahead.
They said that boy Slap was laughing so hard. They said that your camera shut off. He's laughing so hard. Man.
Yeah, I see that, man. They got jokes out there. Slap yourself 2 times.
All right, so go ahead, Slap. So what D Brown was saying, where you see it going, and we'll chime back in with D Brown.
Dak, that money. Hey, man, like Dion say, man, pay the man. I'm not a Cowboy fan. I'm a realist when it comes talking about that football, man. And Dallas. I mean, if y'all want to keep this man in a Dallas uniform, you need to pay him his money. He has lived up and bypassed the little chump change that y'all gave him. Well, he was a 3rd, 4th round pick coming out of Mississippi State. And to me, y'all still ain't really just played the offense around him. You know what I'm saying? You don't use him the way you should use him, and he still excelled in his. And what he started every game since he's been there. 60 something straight games he's been starting at coming out as the 4th round, and then at Mississippi State they say he couldn't even throw the ball 15 yards. That can't throw the ball. He's just a running quarterback. But this man last year was 3 yards away from surpassing Tony Romo's record for most passing yards in the season. Or was it either Romo or Troy Aikman, one of them? But I think it was Romo.
Yeah.
But I mean, and then the Kirk Cousins. I mean, that dude no way shouldn't even be getting $30-something million, man. I mean, I just so if he why can't Dak get it? You know what I'm saying? Why can't Dak get it? I know Jerry Jones like to play hardball, But if you want to continue at least being relevant in this league, you better keep number 4 in that jersey. Because if you don't, you're gonna go find one of these other quarterbacks, and you're gonna be living back in after that Troy Aikman era when y'all was running through Quincy Carter's and the Brandon Whedons and them other words. You're gonna be running through them if you don't keep Dak. Dak needs to stay in Dallas. Give that man his money. He has earned that money.
And not only
what
that,
he asked for, he has earned it. So not give it to him. Because if you don't, he gonna go somewhere else, and then you're gonna be the woulda, coulda, shoulda. That's what you're gonna be. Well, this what could have happened if we'd have kept that. This could have happened if this. No, just pay that man his money, man. He deserved it. You know, like I say, I'm not a Cowboys fan, but that man deserved the contract that he wants because he has done everything that he's supposed to do with Dallas. He has upped his yards each and every year at the quarterback position. He has upped his touchdowns. He has upped his completion percentage, his production, everything. And y'all still trying to figure out, should we pay this man? Absolutely. All right, Dallas. Y'all know how y'all is. Y'all know how y'all is. Y'all better keep Dak, man.
Hey,
y'all better. Just like we need to keep this cat right here.
Man, that's all y'all got. But the biggest part that people don't realize is the fact I paid $300 for his jersey, so they better keep him on. All right, Chris. Then we go back to you, but Chris, you got an inject real quick, then we'll.
Well, I think I agree with Darren. I think that the smaller deals are smart now because at the end of the day, 5 years turns into 2 years in the NFL. Because then you could be like Todd Gurley, who doesn't get his money because guess what? After 2 years, bro, we don't need you no more.
You're reading my mail.
It's a progressive league, and I agree. And I agree with Slap too because, like at the same time, look, he's done everything that he's supposed to do. I don't know what else Dak is supposed to do to get paid. And look, I was hard on Dak when he first came in, but my thing is this: he progressed. That's something that we all wanted as fans or people who root for him. So I agree with it, man. I just think that the problem which is another subject, another I think we all need to touch on. I just think there shouldn't be a salary cap. We don't talk right now about that. And to me, no salary cap. And I get it. Then you'll say, well, the Cowboys can pay everybody. But my thing is this: Clay, in another sport, Clay Bennett is the owner of the Oklahoma City Thunder. And he got cheap at the wrong time. He spent the money to go get the team, but he didn't want to pay $4 million for a certain player. And to me, I feel like, look, man, these owners need to be held accountable for that. Because look, at the end of the day, you want to put people in your seats, you got to have the product. And like, I think it gets done. Just talking to a few players about the situation that are on the team, they feel like it's going to get done. You just don't want to be in a situation, and maybe this pandemic may have saved the Cowboys from any off-season workouts or anything. You don't want to be stuck up there in training camp and then there's no Dak. And then you go into week 1 like you did with Zeke, and all of a sudden you come up and it's over. Yeah. Because I think a lot of Cowboys last year lack of success was the fact that Zeke wasn't there in training camp. He's your biggest part of your offense, and he's not there. And then you had to plug him in. I mean, obviously Zeke is great, but I agree. Like, look, man, Kirk Cousins, he did what he did. And for me, I don't really like to use the whole they're not worth the money because at the end of the day, Kirk Cousins probably sells more in jerseys for that particular team and makes more money off of they make more money off of him than what they're going to pay him. So, like, my thing with Dak is this. Dak is actually worth more than $40 million if you want to keep it honest. Like, look, there's a man up there right now with his jersey on. Yeah. All the marketing. You go up to the store right now, what do you see? You see Dak stuff everywhere. So I just think that, like, you got to weigh your
I got my jersey. You store.
Yeah, and I agree. Like, my thing is this, like, teams now are trying to, after 2 years, they don't want you anymore. I hate it for the Texas fans. Look what happened with DeAndre, and it's a big deal with that. It's a lot of talk, but at the end of the day, they probably didn't want to pay that dude no more. They probably like, look, man, we can go draft another young guy to do what he did. Look what Dez Bryant, the reason why he went on the Cowboys no more because they looked up and they said, well, $12 million at this time is just too much money. It's just too much money. We don't want to do it anymore. He's a little over the hill now. We'll go find some young dude, then we'll have to pay him. We'll let him go. Like, look, man, 3-year deals are where it's at. You bank on yourself. I think I'd rather take 3 years at $30 million and know I'm getting $90 million out of it versus taking a 5-year at $100 million. And I probably want to see 75 of them. They're gonna get rid of
you want to be. Yeah. You probably want to see about 20 million, not that 100.
Man, for real. And that's great. It shows the enlightenment of the new era. And I definitely agree with that. And so, yeah, man. So, all right. So, Darren, let's go real quick. Darren, back to Slap, and then we'll move forward. So yeah, what's your retort to that, Darren?
Well, Chris brought up a point that I want to extend on a little bit. And the dynamic of like negotiations, kind of why I started. You know, this is a watershed deal for Dallas, I think, because you're talking about a team that's not like they're not like this isn't a deal where they are like the Dolphins, you know, like that team. They're not putting that team together to be or consider themselves to be like in the conversation 3 or 4 years from now. Man, you got a ton of money in your offensive line. You got $50 million committed to your running back. You've got $100 million. You know, you got $100 million deal, and you know, like what, about 50, 60 million committed to your wide receiver one. I mean, you got a lot of money committed to. So this is a right now deal. So what are you telling your team if you screwing around with this contract and not getting it done when you've got all these guys committed in the prime of their careers? Man, I mean, so I think, you know, I know Steven's at the forefront of these negotiations. Steven has shown he's a hardball cat. I personally have appreciated it because it's a long departure from the way business used to be done when Gerald Wayne was calling the ball, because he's loyal to a fault. He will pay, like if you ride with him, he will pay you till the cows come home, you know, and even after you're gone. Ask Deion Sanders, ask Charles Haley, ask all those cats who got money long after they was here while Dallas was in salary cap hell, and Parcells kind of showed them how to navigate that. Well, but I think this deal now, because you've got a warring faction. They want control. Dak's not really wanting to give that up, wanting to stay in the shorter deal and do that. I think a concession is probably made with I've heard 6 years. Dak wants 4. They may do a 5 with an out in like 3 and say, look, guarantee me X at this number so I can get to my deal, because they want to manage that and massage that salary cap. So, but I think it's a real interesting watch with how Dallas handles this, because there's more ways Dallas can screw this up than not. And I think the bottom line is they've got to get the deal done for what the message it sends in the locker room and the talent level that they have, that they expect to do something with right now, as opposed to letting this kid walk, having paid him $30-something million, and then you starting all over again and you're back in the 5 and 11 days. That's where I'm at.
I agree. So your points on that. All right. So what you basically saying is, in this new era, kind of akin to how the NBA thing is going, the short-term contract is the way to go, because the CBAs dictate the new salary. So great point there. So all right, Slap, so go ahead and bring us home, man. What's your retort to?
Yeah, it just, man, I always have said, man, that the NFL is one of the top grossing leagues, and they get paid like they working in the field, man. You like Chris say, man, you sign $100 million contract, you might not even see no parts of that 100 million. Everybody want to get high and mighty. Oh, he just signed $120 million, but he only getting 40 guaranteed. Where's that other 80 going? They need to pay the NFL should always have been getting paid all their money, man, because they putting their body on line. They might not even make it past 5 years, man. And then you gotta play what, six years just to get on the pension. You know, you gotta play that just to get on that pension. So when you retire, you can still at least get that check. So to me, Jerry, Steve, you need to just go ahead and bite the bullet. Don't give that what he deserves, man. Keep your quarterback, because you already know in this league what you need. You got to have your quarterback. You want to win the league. You know what I'm saying? It ain't been too many teams since the 2000 started where a backup won a Super Bowl, but what, Nick Foles of the world, you know, we don't see that very often, man. You want to keep your starting quarterback there, and and Zeke not being in training camp last year, that hurt them because they couldn't really get their offense going. Because when Zeke did get there, they still didn't know how to just give him the ball. They would just rely on, you know, Dak. You go out here, you get it. Then when things weren't happening, everybody want to blame Dak. Well, Dak is the reason that the Cowboys ain't winning. No, it's a whole lot of other things why they ain't winning. But don't make that your decision on why you don't want to pay this man his money, because he didn't put up the numbers. He done been, you know what I'm saying? He done been that model player that you want. You don't never hear nothing about him in the outside of the football field. No trouble or nothing. He do what he do. So just give him his money, man. And like I say, the NFL, they need to change it. I say, like Chris say, man, hey, no salary cap, man. Just make it a no salary cap league, man. And Hey, if Dallas can go out there and buy a chip like the Yankees used to do back in the day, then hey, so be it. That means everybody else y'all need to get with the program.
Hey, and great point, man. And you actually made me remember the point I was gonna say. Because I mean, if you open the salary cap, it doesn't guarantee you a championship.
Dude.
When last time Steinbrenner have won one in baseball? Like we shown the Tampa Bay Rays have went with World Series like twice. Lowest overall in MLB. My Astros have been to the World Series twice, won one out of two. Lowest paying salary. So it doesn't guarantee that. But if you choose to be a big swinger, a big spender, you can do that. It's not going to guarantee you a championship. You know, it guarantees you a legacy. But at the same time, it's still an open field for if you do it a different way. Obviously, taking the Philadelphia 76ers way, you still can win it all. My Astros have done. So, yeah, that's an excellent point you guys have made. So, great take here. I want to move on because we're running long, but this is awesome. This is great. So, last subject, man. Oh, what you got? You got something real quick?
No, I'm good. Go ahead.
Okay, all right. So last subject. So as we know in sports, it is a narrative-driven league. It's certain individuals move the culture forward or what have you. So my last question. So out of Michael Jordan, the Larry Bird, and Magic Johnson paradigm, or the Allen Iverson era, which has been the most influential for the league at large? So start with last time, D Brown. Go ahead, man. Who you got?
Wow. Best for last. I can dig it. Influence. Depends on how you define influence. Because the older cats played in a league that far was a big time predecessor to social media. And even though Iverson, his career started that way, he was much closer to it. From a influence of the game itself, I would probably go with Iverson. Not necessarily from the pure basketball standpoint, but again, this is why we debating this. But with regard to his influence on the open freewheeling player, and then its ties to pop culture. I mean, I was a youngster when Magic and Bird hit the league. Magic Johnson is my favorite player of all time. But I think from a fully encompassing social game and cultural impact, I think Iverson, who was my youngest brother's favorite player, far and away. We go back and forth on this all the time, so this is a good time to debate this. I think he's probably more impactful in terms of what the game is now, as opposed to those guys. Just because I think there's just too much of a time that's distance between when those guys came in the league and impacted it, as opposed to what it is now. I think there's far more people that are relatable to Iverson in the way that he played, his persona, his image, and the cultural impact as it ties into everything else. Because, NBA is huge in terms of its pop culture influence, in terms of fashion, its ties to hip hop, that whole thing. I just think, dating that back to Iverson to the current day situation, it's probably more impactful. And it also impacted the game from a global standpoint. So there we go.
Okay, that's a strong man, Darren. You keep surprising me with your takes, man. I definitely would have pegged you for saying on that. So I respect it, man. I respect progressive thinking, no matter where you are as far as your origins in life or what have you. So all right, so Slap, what's your retort? As I hope what my answer would be.
I'm gonna go with. Boy, got these shorts, man. Hold on, man. I'm gonna go with the '80s. Magic and Bird, man. Magic and Bird, they brought the game of basketball. They brought it back, by them playing each other in the NCAA championship. Nobody knew that them playing in the NCAA championship that we was gonna go into the decade of the '80s, and we was gonna see them play each other in the finals. What, 4 times? I think 3-4 times they played in the finals. Because I mean, the Lakers could have arguably went to 10 straight. They could have went to 10 straight finals if it wasn't for the Rockets in '81 and '86.
Right.
But just that Magic and that Magic and Bird. I mean, you know, that was the last great white American basketball player to win an MVP. Just know that it ain't been another white American player to have an effect on the NBA like Bird did in the '80s. And he would ask a white player if they guarding him, he'd be like, man, who you pissed off at practice for them to make you guard me today? You know what I'm saying? So that Johnson and Bird, and then you know they had the Converse commercial, Bird with the black Converse, Magic with the Laker purple and gold Converse. I mean, they just brought a whole diversity to the NBA, you know, with the Bird and Bird and Magic. And don't get me wrong, that was some great series that they had too, man. The Lakers and the Celtics, man, in the '80s, that was basketball. They played and they ball, and that's what brought me into watching basketball. So that's why I say that era. Don't get me wrong, the Iverson era, in that '96, I was probably a sophomore in high school when Iverson came about. So and that brought a new sense to me. But I'm just gonna go with the Johnson and the Bird because that was just so influential to me starting to play the game of basketball because I used to just see how and Bird would never back down, man. As a white guy playing basketball, he ain't never back down from nobody, man. Larry Joe Bird, that's who he is. He ain't back down, man. And it was great for basketball because they needed that because in the '70s, it really wasn't just, you know, I go back, you know, Boston just dominated and there wasn't no team that could give Boston a chance back in the '60s and the '70s, and then Magic comes along, Bird going to Boston. I mean, what a coincidence! He gets drafted to Boston, Magic gets drafted to the Lakers. They're in the opposite ends of the East and the West, and it's actually East versus West when they beat up in the play. I mean, in the championship. So that's what got me. That was that era for me, man. That and then it also just brought on. It brought on after that, you know. You got the Pistons came along, then Jordan and the Bulls came along, and you know the rest is history.
I got that, man, and that's a great point. I mean, a lot of people don't understand. I mean, most people universally respect Magic Johnson, but Larry Bird's contribution to basketball, is very much underrated. Like, and a lot of people, you know, put him as an afterthought as a small forward. And how he affected the game. Like most people will put LeBron over him, which I'm not saying LeBron don't deserve that, but a lot of people will retort that Bird did what LeBron has done in a totality standpoint in about half the time. So if you really want to be a student and look at Larry Bird's career, it's the greatest thing LeBron James is that Larry Bird has pretty much done it in about half the time. You know what I'm saying? He's not dunking on people. He ain't. You know what I mean? Coming like him with it.
Yeah.
But if you look at the meat and potatoes of his career, he's done with the best that his career, at his position rather, has done. You know what I mean? So yeah, I think that's a very salient point. All right, Chris, you got any input on that?
Man, I agree with everybody above. The thing that we have to understand is commercialization of the player, because you got to understand this. Michael Jordan is the ultimate sponsorship guy. I think without sponsorships, Michael Jordan isn't Michael Jordan. Think about this. As kids growing up and as a young man growing up, you wanted to see those Gatorade commercials, right? You wanted to be – they had a song, you want to be like Mike, right? You wanted to be Mike. Like Michael Jordan is the man. Like think about this. When you go buy shoes, what's the first shoes you look at? J's. You don't look at you don't look at the Converse. You were talking about the Converse with the weapons. We don't go look at the Converse weapons. We don't go look at obviously we go look at the J's. We want the J's, bro. I think behind me I got some J's on a counter here. A pair of shoes on the counter. They're Jordans. So I agree with it. The thing is this. I think that the thing that people need to understand is there's a gift and curse when it comes to how we present what was great for basketball. So as much as I think Allen Iverson is a cultural icon, we all agree, it's almost a gift and curse with him. because he came along in the mixtape era. Because now guys play like him, the inefficient things that we don't like. So for every Allen Iverson, there was a short guard like Brandon Jennings that played. There was a guy like
Wagner.
Yeah, there was guys that came along that wanted to be Iverson, and it didn't work out. So like, and then like I said, but my thing on the whole
Minor, holy cow. Shout out to Minor.
Bro, think about it. And that's the thing. But my thing is this. Whenever they do basketball history, and this is something that me, Darren, you, Slap, we all get into the same argument with everybody. For some odd reason, 6-0 means more than going to 10 championships and winning 6. So think about that.
Right.
So think about that. No matter what Kareem has done or LeBron has done or Larry Bird or Magic, the whole thing of comparing players starts with, well, Michael Jordan is 6-0. So what can you do? And that's the thing that I think that, unfortunately, NBA players I talk to, this is how it always works. I want to be Jordan because he got his own shoe. I want to be Jordan because he has his own brand. There's only one person in the world that literally got separated from Nike, even though it is Nike, and that's Jordan. LeBron would never ever be able to do that. There is no player, no athlete. And look, Bo Jackson may have been the closest thing that could have done that. That would be the closest thing that could have done that. Yeah, that would be the only exception. But other than that, you want to be Mike. So I agree with Darren because the problem that Darren's going to run into is this. Darren's generation is the Magic versus Bird generation. But
absolutely. And I was 13 years old when he hit the league.
Yeah, and the thing is this, but you have to submit because at the end of the day, when you look up the way people dress, like, look, man, if it wasn't for Allen Iverson, I don't think I would be able to cover the basketball games because I can't walk in with a T-shirt like this and some jeans and some J's. Back then, reporters wore suits. You know what we do now? We can go in there with our do-rags on and everything and have a good time and report the sports. Think about it. Think about it. Think about it. It's a different thing. Yeah. So, like, I appreciate Allen Iverson for that. But I agree with Slap too with the Bird and Magic thing because without Bird and Magic, we ain't talking about none of this right now. Ain't none of us here. Think about this. Like, they put the NBA on their backs. And I hate it for guys like Isaiah Thomas, guys who were in the 80s that were great because they don't get part in that. But, like, look, man, Bird and Magic made the rivalry thing a big deal because they both won. It wasn't Bill versus Wilt where Bill dominated Wilt and Wilt finally got one later. But, like, it's a thing where, like, Magic and Bird, because you had the best of both worlds. You had black versus white. You had Celtics versus Lakers. You either hated both of them, but you know how to like one, right? So I agree, man. Like, I think there's other guys that you can mention, like Dirk Nowitzki, the international appeal. You got Shaquille O'Neal. Shaquille O'Neal, from a standpoint of marketing, not named Michael Jordan, may be one of the most biggest marketed NBA players I've ever seen. Like, just think about it. From what Shaq did as a big man, we've never seen that before. From a big man, we won't see it again.
Jerseys, he sold shoes. Nobody buys big shoes.
Bro, they put a stick.
That's Jamaican, man. He got about 85 jobs.
Bro, just think about it. So, like, I agree with everybody, man. I think this is a touchy subject, man, because like the all of us agree that Iverson, for as a cultural impact, is a great thing. But when it comes to the basketball side, that's where the argument comes in. Because every person who tells me Iverson was great, you're going to have to start giving James Harden his flowers. You got to start giving these other dudes their flowers. They all play the same. Like, hey, ball dominant, move the other guys out the way, let me do what I do.
Which is the crux of my argument.
Yeah, so like, my thing is this, like, it's a gift and curse. But, like, for me personally, I kind of got to go with Cliff because, like, the whole MJ thing is so weird. Like, no matter what they do, bro, like, I swear to God, Kawhi Leonard can go out there and win 7 championships. It won't matter because they're going to say 6-0 is better than, bro, Darren, you sit there every day with me, bro. Me and you up there, we fight people about Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. The man has more MVPs, has the same amount of championships. It doesn't matter. Bro, all that matters is just Michael Jordan allegedly played 6 years of basketball. That's all we know.
From North Carolina, 6'6".
And just wait till tonight.
He would have lost one. He wouldn't have been 6-0 if he would have got to play them Rockets in '94.
And I see the comment down there. Shout out to Chris Hooper, like, white guys don't get a lot of.
He wouldn't have got that way. He wouldn't be 6-0 if he would have got against the Rockets in '94, baby. I'm gonna tell you.
Man, that's another topic for another day.
That's another time for another conversation.
But yeah, Mike is different, bro. Like, I give people that because Mike may have the most all-around versatility when it comes to everything involved. Because, like I said, at the end of the day, you don't go to the mall to go find a Converse weapon. You go to the mall to find the Jordans. Like nobody was killing each other over Converse weapons, bro. When nobody killing each other over Reebok questions, we were killing each other over J's, bro. Like I know people right now that still fight over J's today. So like me being involved in sneakers, it doesn't come close.
You still get jacked in the streets out here for some J's,
bro. There's kids right now. I did a thing where I went to a elementary school. There were some kids that came to me and said Michael Jordan's the best basketball player, 5 and 6 year olds. And I asked them, I said, did you ever watch Michael Jordan play? They said, no, but I love his shoes.
That's marketing right there, bro.
Yeah, so
that tell you right there what that is.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
that tell you right there, man.
Go ahead.
Shout out to Brandon Patterson, though, man.
Yeah,
that's a good comment.
Yeah, and I agree, man. Like, so when I look at situations, questions like this, it's hard because it's not tangible. You really don't have a real standard to say what is impact.
Great, debatable question.
It can be anything you want to make. So I love to hear y'all's perspective of what you think impact means. And Darren, you led it perfectly, saying of what you think impact means, because it can be all over the place, it's all over the spectrum. So shout out to y'all brothers for doing that. So I'll give y'all about a minute or so each if y'all want to. Well, actually, I'm gonna go to B-Pat's question. So this is kind of more or less a piggyback off this. So what do you think about David Stern's contribution to the game of basketball in his tenure? Man, and RP David Stern. That sounds weird even saying that. That's crazy. Darren, go ahead.
Innovative. It had its downside. He had, I think history will be as it gets further away from his passing and his tenure over the league. I think history will go back and look at his tenure as favorable because the game truly went global on his watch.
Yep.
It did, but there was a, to keep things in a total perspective, he had kind of a Goodell like, iron fist, if you will.
Yeah.
I look no further than the Chris Paul situation with your Lakers. That was so. I think there'll be some diehards like yourself, like all the gentlemen on this forum. They'll remember that, and he'll have his black marks. I think overall it'll be a favorable look back. I think just because the way the game went global and his impact in helping that happen. When you look at from that perspective, and we're last point before I jump to slap. I do think it was genius that he took what I would consider the bold step in marketing enough to remember when they didn't do this. Going back to in the Magic Bird tie-in, David Stern was at the forefront of marketing players as opposed to teams like the NFL does. It has their stars, but David Stern was really, really proactive, I thought, in marketing faces of the league to get the profile up from what it was, and help the game grow that way. So for that, I'll always give him his card that way.
All right, Slap, I'm about to go you real quick, but I think Christian had a great point. Even though he was a pro player, he still understood the business model, implemented the clothes policy and what have you. So great comment, Christian. Still understood the bottom line.
Indeed.
You still need your constituency. So you still got to be professional, but you still put players first. So I think versatility of understanding both worlds, a la Jay-Z, was one of his great attributes. Great comment, Christian. All right, Slap, go ahead.
Yeah. David Stern, man, like Darren said, man, he brought that international flavor to the league. You started seeing more international players started coming into the league, and he doing stuff overseas and in different countries and getting those players to come into the NBA and play in the NBA. Just from my NBA perspective, I mean, as far as the commissioner of the NBA, he did what he was supposed to do, and he was an iron-fisted type of commissioner, man. But he didn't. One thing I got on him though, that referee scandal, man. He ain't really get up on that, man, when that came about.
Right.
And it got out of hand with the betting and all that. But as far as as everything else, man, as him as a commissioner, RIP to David Stern, he brought the NBA to a whole nother level. Like Darren said, the marketing and things like that, and just bringing the game global. Once he brought the game global, it was able to get the NBA players to go play in China and London and overseas, everywhere they got to play. And then you start seeing players from Turkey, Turkoglu. You started seeing the Stojakovic's and you know what I'm saying, the Olajuwon, and those type of players, man. You start seeing them coming to the NBA because David Stern allowed that channel to be fed to us as NBA fans. You know, we got to see the Dirks and those players like that. So I give him big ups on that in globalizing the game of basketball, because he could have just kept it in America. He could have. But he globalized it, and you see what we got now. And like Chris say, Luka. Oh damn, I ain't even talking to you right now. Luka. Yeah, that Luka, yeah, he's something else, man.
Agreed.
I like old Luka though. Luka got game.
Agreed. And I think that David Stern, his greatest attribute was one, preserving. Well, I mean, the NFL. The NBA doesn't call it the shield, but you preserving the brand. That was his. That's always going to be every commissioner's thing. So y'all need to understand that about all of it. It's about preserving the brand, adhering to your 32 owners, 30 owners in the NBA. So that's going to be chief goal number one. Globalization. David Stern had that on smash, and not only did he have these international guys come, he had them come before their prime. He had them come in and grew, and you learn their story as it developed. Because everybody loves Dirk now. When Dirk first came, people did not love Dirk. Dirk was soft ass. Why you ain't posting up? You can't dunk on nobody. Trash. You soft.
He was scared.
He was scared. Everybody had all those words for Dirk. But David Stern implemented bringing those guys in when they would spend years in FIBA, spend those years playing the ACB league, playing in the Chinese basketball league, playing in these leagues where they, you can drain them early because you can sell it. You can sell a young guy. Like in bringing y'all in so early. So, yeah, man, he needs to be respected in that capacity.
No doubt.
For sure.
No doubt.
Okay.
Yeah, for sure.
Comments, and then, yeah, man, great job, man. So this is our first run. So a lot of this stuff is just extemporaneous. So y'all rolling with the punches like champions right now. I got to give y'all props. All right, so he said a little format and healthy sports talk. Understand we can't do this. The world opens back up and stuff. But yeah, okay, yeah. All right, yeah. So real quick. With the David Stern part, I'm gonna give you 30 seconds each.
That was a great question,
with the impact of players to the point you said, drive your point home. 30 seconds, go. Darren, what you got?
I'm sorry, I was reading the comment.
Yeah, I'm saying drive your point home of what you said, the biggest impact, because the voters always some of the last shit you said. So say that, and then we'll do that, and then we're in with Chris.
All right. Again, it's weird. It feels weird saying it just because of the era that I physically grew up in. Like I said, Magic was my favorite player, and I saw, Jordan is, basically my peer in terms of age. So I saw all that happen organically, and I obviously immensely respect the impact. But when I look at, what Iverson was in terms of, again, it was all timing from, that globalization we talked about with Stern and his ties to the culture, particularly with the inner city cat in the States. How they talk, how they played. Chris made the reference, the Hardens and what have you, ball dominant cats. How they talk, how they played, how they dressed, how they were defiant to the system. I mean, all of those things are very, very relevant now, and you can tie a whole bunch of that back to Allen Iverson on court and off. And that's why I think in that question, even though I'm a fan of the older generation in terms of the basketball format, I think the more impactful, the impactful, more impact was made from Iverson.
There you go. All right, Slap. 30 seconds. Go for it. Drive your point home.
Yeah, just about the Johnson and Bird, the impact. All I'm gonna say is, man, putting the games on live instead. Cause I know y'all might not remember, them games used to be tape delayed and then that show.
Yeah, I remember.
That's the number one thing. They made the games live, and we got to watch them on CBS live.
That's a great
Not tape delayed at 11 o'clock at night.
Good stuff.
So thank you, David Stern, for putting the games live. You know what I'm saying? It wouldn't work in this day and age doing the game tape delayed. Somebody on social media will be destroyed. Such won tonight. I ain't seen it yet.
Slap, hold on, let me stop you.
So thank you for making the game live.
Bro, you remember when the wrestling, you go to Blockbuster, get a wrestling tape, and that's how you really watch wrestling. Nobody watched like
that's how you watch the wrestling.
When Monday Night Raw came out, we was like, oh, I can't watch this.
Royal Rumble happened about 4 months ago, and you just go and get it on tape and watch it. No, I didn't watch the Royal Rumble.
Man, that's so cool, man. I remember my pop took me to the Summer City Tour, 1994. I seen Lex Luger Summer City Tour. I don't know what
SummerSlam and all that, man.
That was a bullshit tour, though, bro. But you're right, man. They started a practice that is normal now. Yeah, that's an excellent point, man. We can go ahead.
End it live, man.
The tape delay thing. That is a real thing. Go ahead, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got it? All right, so yeah, man. So go ahead. You make your statement, brother.
Oh, I'm good.
Okay. All right, so Darren, we got a late request.
A luck request?
My boy Warren say you want to give him a Morgan Freeman voice.
Oh, all right. We got live on there, live on the stream, huh? All right, let me finish up this. I have thoroughly enjoyed the entirety of this game.
That's good.
As I sit here and look at my man, the narrator, and I cannot forget. This will go forward long after I'm gone. The arguable debate in the Hoop Jargon format. So y'all continue to watch, continue to comment, and most importantly, go Hoop Jargon.
Damn, that's good, man.
Thanks, there, Morgan. Thank you, Morgan.
Yeah, all right, Chris, bring us home, man. What you got to add to us before we peace out?
Man, I think everybody's correct. I just think that you can't go wrong with any answer, but at the end of the day, like, once again, there's babies out here, kids, our grandkids and our kids, we're going to talk about Michael Jordan. Look, as much as Allen Iverson has impacted the game from a cultural point, from the way we dress, the way we talk and everything, there is nobody that's going to be Michael Jordan. Like, man, we got to understand this. Rest in peace to Kobe Bryant. There may be a carbon blueprint copy of the Michael Jordan. And look, you want to use that logic? I will make a case that Kobe internationally may be the biggest NBA player that you ever had, because there's international people who make the case that Kobe is the biggest international player. You go to China right now, that is Kobe Bryant. That's all Kobe. They don't care about Michael Jordan like they do Kobe. So I think that, like, Michael Jordan definitely it's not close. It sort of sways the narratives a little bit about talking about other players, unfortunately. But yeah, and David Stern, man, innovative. I think without him, there will be no NBA inside stuffs, no TV programs. You got to understand this. NBA TV wouldn't exist without David Stern. Yeah. We couldn't go watch these things on NBA TV or, having certain things happen live TV, the marketing, being on NBA, NBC. You guys remember the theme song? We all love the theme song when we see it. NBA draft being on. Man,
there you go.
man, video games. Look, we talk about from the video game side, man, like the way they marketed video games, being able to have actual real players, their likeness on video games, like that. He was very innovative. I mean, look, and give or take, he brought expansion. Like, look, for most of us here,
no doubt,
there will be no Dallas Mavericks without David Stern, right? There will never be any. There won't be any Miami Heat. There will never be a Memphis or Vancouver,
Orlando Magic,
Toronto. There will be
Vancouver Grizzlies / Memphis.
Man, like, he brought that. So I think that, like, David Stern
deserves down there to Toronto.
Man, And I gotta give him credit, man. Like he was able to push the game to a different level. And the last thing is this, from a fan standpoint, you know, as a kid growing up, the number one thing I used to love, and was so weird that like, remember when y'all used to watch the games and the commercial comes on, NBA, it's fantastic. Remember that? It was always a celebrity. Imagine seeing like Billy Crystal courtside. You wanted to be Billy Crystal. You couldn't be Michael Jordan. So you wanted to be there to watch the game.
Good point.
So like, I think that like he understood that fans come first. And guess what? The best fans in the world are the celebrities. Man, you get Spike Lee courtside at the games. You get Billy Crystal at the Lakers. You get Jack Nicklaus. Like, look, for years, Jack Nicklaus sat courtside. Nobody said nothing. But then, you know, David Stern made an effort. He made a point to market that. Like, look, guess what? We all want to go sit courtside and be seen now. They show people on TV. And David Stern, you know, when I talked with David Stern, that was something that he had told me.
You ain't got that corona over there, do you?
No, I'm saying Drake. I was saying Drake. You're like, oh yeah, Drake.
Drake. Like, but like, you know, I had a chance to talk with David Stern, you know, a couple of years prior to him passing. I remember him telling me, like, you know, the fans are the biggest thing about this. And I think at the end of the day, this is the thing I explain to football fans and basketball fans. Look, at the end of the day, the capital comes from us. It doesn't come from anywhere else. Like, at the end of the day, fans, if you're frustrated with your team, your organization, quit buying. After a while, if everybody quits buying, the narrative changes. Cleveland had to go through it, right? The Cleveland Browns are the most storied NFL franchise, not named the Cowboys or whoever you want to use. They had to go through that with Art Modell and those guys because you know why? They got tired. And then guess what? They didn't want to build a stadium, do this. We're going to move. And then guess what? Art saw that, and then the ownership, they brought a different ownership in, they got to take care of. So I think that, like, man, you gotta appreciate him from a fan standpoint because we wouldn't be able to watch the NBA draft live. We wouldn't know, like you said. Imagine me being able to go to a Mavs game, and then I got to come on HJ and say, well, y'all, the Mavs won, by the way, just let y'all know. And then you be like, how did they win? And now, you guys, it's crazy. I can be at the game, right? I can go on HJ. You guys are telling me what happened at the game before I even think no.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, so like
that is 100 right there.
That's
bro,
true.
and it's crazy, man. But like, David Stern, man, he was a very great guy. I still had my disagreement. I told him how I felt. I'm not a Lakers fan, but I felt like the Chris Paul trade was a little messed up. I think that
that was some underhanded ass.
Yeah, that
was underhanded, man. I'm not a Laker fan, but that's underhanded, man.
Yeah, the cheating
you didn't want CP3 and Kobe playing together, man. Come on, man.
And
but you let LeBron go play. You let LeBron go to Miami and play with Wade and Bosh.
And I will say man. He is one of the first ones in professional sports. To actually innovate the idea of bringing in different kind of owners, like Mark Cuban's of the world. Yeah, like Mark Cuban was frowned upon of being an owner. Yeah, and without David Stern's pool, there's no Mark Cuban. Like, it's the old man's club. Like absolutely. You go through they had to get rid of David Stern and Don Sterling, obviously because Sterling was a fool. But like, yeah, without that, there was no Mark Cuban. And I think it was a gift. It was a gift that he did that because then we started seeing owners. We started seeing younger owners. We're going to see more of that now. And look, he was the one. He was the one person I would say as a commissioner that did the right thing and groomed the next person. In a lot of sports, we don't get that. Yeah. He groomed Adam Silver. Yeah. Like, there's video of Adam Silver. Like, it was funny. One day I'm watching some old NBA draft. Adam Silver sitting there with hair on his head. I'm like, oh, that's Adam Silver. And I'm like, oh, shit, Adam Silver. So, yeah.
He was in the building.
This shit was seamless. It was a seamless transition, too.
It was. It went out without a hit.
You can see it in Adam Silver, though. You can see it that he was groomed by Stern.
Yeah. And lastly, man, just, you know, the idea that there's an opportunity in which I think we're going to definitely work on that next season. There's going to be an opportunity where you would have never thought in your right mind that HJ will be able to cover NBA games. But guess what? We're going to make it happen. Like, look.
Already.
I told him it wouldn't be. I'm not a major network. I'm just a guy that happened to have a channel and stuff like that. And I was covering sports for a small, like, internet radio show. Like, and he made it clear that he wanted those type of people instead of just getting the national coverage. You need the small guys. So, look, man, like, none of us will be able to be in our situations like this. And, like, I can't wait to next year, man. We're going to incorporate HJ into some NBA stuff. And then HJ can talk noise to the other sports groups because guess what? Y'all are in and they not.
I'm here for all of that.
Yeah, you already know. I already know.
I'm here for
I'll be
all
an
of
avid
that.
watcher.
Yeah.
That's solid. And so
I'll be an avid watcher, man. Ready to talk.
there you go. And let me wrap it like this. This is why I created this group 9 years ago. About 9 years ago. For opportunities like this, man. I played at a level where I can reach my tentacles to places through other people's tentacles. So that's dope, man. I'm definitely down for that because I want to put guys like the Slap on, put OGs like Darron on, and understand that there's a lot of people who have a lot to say about this sport we all love dearly. And we all may know different levels of it and experience different, from a different perspective, or even like Chris, who has inside information. Again, if y'all coming in late, Chris is the dude who wrote that KD story when he first went to New Jersey and Brooklyn. Chris was the guy that everybody was quoting his from on ESPN, on Fox Sports, on Bleacher Report. Chris broke that news. This is a dude who broke the news himself. Look it up. I'm not guy.
And I think it's dope that like players get to say, like when I get players in and y'all ask questions and they be like, shout out to HJ. Like it's just it's something, it's so weird for me because like I'm sitting there, I'm like, I'm a part of this group and I'm like y'all. Like I tell people all the time, Cliff knows me very well from talking to me. Like I'm one of y'all. I just happen to be able to get in a locker room and talk. Like at the end of the day, I'm just like y'all, man. Like I never look at it like, oh man, I've been there, done that. I don't care about all that because at the end of the day, like that doesn't mean anything. But the thing is this, I enjoy the fact that HJ has a lot of different I'm in a lot of sports groups and like I get added to a lot of them. I got added in HJ. I don't even know how I got added in HJ. I just got added one day and I was like, okay. And I saw guys talking. I was like, there's some civil minds and there's older guys, so it's cool. And I think that, I like to see HJ get talked about. Like when I had Perk on, Perk was like, shout out to HJ. Langston Galloway, shout out to HJ. When I get KD, I want HJ to be there and say, hey, this is from HJ. They got a question for me. You know what I'm saying? Because once one person hears it, everybody hears it. And you never know where HJ can be at. HJ can become the new Bleach Report. Who knows?
And I appreciate that. That's why I asked, man. Like, comment, subscribe, man. I'm always trying to build relationships. I'm always trying to get us on, man. So I remember we have about 3,600 members in the group. I'm sitting at about 162 subscribers, which I'm very thankful for.
We're gonna get you more.
I want to put y'all on. So slap, get the slaps. Views up. DASLAP.
Check out that Slap show, man. It's the best. It's the best sports show talking about football that ain't nobody talking about out there. Y'all already know. Week to week, I give it to you, man. UPQ, DCA, follow it, baby. Cliff, I just want to say this right here, right quick, man. I appreciate you doing this right here because we need this in the group, man. Because the debates. People need to debate so we can really see what your sports and what your sports knowledge really is, man.
Yeah.
That's what we need. We need this right here.
Yeah.
Don't stop this, man. Keep it going and let's keep it going, man.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And if they don't like it, slap yourself 2 times. For my boy Cliff.
All right, Darren, got important words for us.
HJ, rise up, baby. Y'all already know HJ forever, man.
Yes, sir. You ain't anything for us, D Brown, before we peace out?
I'm thoroughly enjoyed this, man. This is dope as hell. I was glad to be part of the first one of the format and looking forward to some more. I love it.
There you go.
Awesome. Yeah. Awesome. Great.
I'll give y'all all the love and respect and props.
Good shit, Chris, great shit. Slap, same thing, man. It was good stuff.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, Chris.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
Shout out to
Hendo.
We trying to get the format down. Y'all are the pioneers. Y'all are the vanguard of this thing. And y'all showed up. So again, ask y'all,
It just had to be the slap versus the OG, huh? On that third one. That would have had to be, huh?
I love it.
You know that's my boy right there, Cliff.
Hey, yeah, so 2 things when we get out. One, subscribe to the channel, man. Hoop Jargon on YouTube. That's where I can get the impact, the global impact. On Facebook, go to my fan page, not just the group, the fan page. I'm almost about 1,000 followers on the fan page. About 163. I just started about 2 months ago, so I understand the YouTube page is gonna take a while, but like, subscribe, share. That's how I build this up. You ain't gotta give me your money. I'm not asking for money at this point. So y'all do that. Secondly, thank y'all so much for being a part of this. We're gonna keep it going, Chris. Thank you so much for being a part of this, brother.
All right, man.
Let's keep this thing rolling, man. Y'all did a damn good job, man.
One time.
Yeah, man. And rest in peace to Ernest, man.
Rest in peace,
R.I.P. to the great.
Oh yeah.
Lord knows
he P-Dub, man.
He would have been on this for sure.
Oh,
He P-Dub, because you know he would have been a part of this thing here. You already know he'd been full effect of this.
He'd have sent me a deal with one of his baseball takes. So that's another day, another dollar, man. God.
All right, everybody, man. So
man.
This is how I tight knit our group is with Hoop Jargon. I've just made it now a media company, but this is how our camaraderie is with the actual sports group. Again, about 3,600 members in there. So I want to get y'all to experience what I see on an everyday basis in y'all's living room. So we're gonna try to do round one, another matchup tomorrow. We're probably Chris against B Pat. So Chris was a moderator today, but Chris gonna come take them gloves off and give him that Mayweather tomorrow, man. So
yeah, man, we may have to get I might have to get a basketball player, man, because that's gonna be. Because I got an idea, because I just got a text from somebody who's actually watching. I want to remain him nameless. He actually is watching us, and he's very interested in talking with us. So
bring him.
We'll work out some parameters on that, and we'll get that squared away, man. Because I think it's time, man. We're gonna have some fun, and I enjoy it, man. Like I said, this is my favorite group. I love everybody in this group, man. Like, come friends with you guys, and I love talking sports with y'all, man. Because at the end of the day, like it's all opinion. Like, look. Nobody's right or wrong, and then at the end of the day,
that's it.
But it's love, because me and Darren agree with Chris.
It's called debate.
Well, we don't agree with Chris at all with Cowboy stuff, and I'll be on Chris' ass, and Chris take it, and it's never personal, but I'll be on your ass.
No, because like, look, man, bro. You know what's crazy? The Amari Cooper thing rides with me everywhere I go. Like, I'm not.
That's a terrible opinion.
I pray. Like Darren was with me on it, right? Brown was with me on it, and then Brown kind of stepped off, and I just kept going. I was like, I couldn't wait till he had a bad game. I was like, I told you, bro. When he had the 200-yard game, bro, I went to bed, bro. I was like, I'm not gonna play this today. But yeah, man, like, look, man, I have fun, man, and most of my stuff, I try to do, I know what makes people upset, so like, I like to edge on, but like a lot of times, like, I know better. Like, look, Amari Cooper's a stud, by the way. I'm gonna make that happen. I think I got something to connect with him, so we're gonna make that happen. I gotta get Cliff in there, and look, I'm gonna own up to it. I got the screenshot still, so I'm gonna show it to him. I'm gonna tell him, like, look, man, I didn't think he was worth it. Like, look, you proved me wrong, and you proved probably like me and like 3 other people wrong. So,
but that's real though.
But like at the end of the day, like, it's just fun. Like, man, I like having fun. Like, man, like me and Cliff will always debate. Like, bro, Cliff will like tag. I could never post anything Cowboys on my bro. Every time I post something, Cowboys win. Oh, you see what Coop did today? He said goat. He'll just like goat. I'm like, oh, I know what he means. And I'm like, here we go. And man, like, it's all fun, man. Because at the end of the day, like, look, I was hoping I was wrong, because if I was right, then the Cowboys wouldn't be like, we'd be screwed right now. But I was wrong. So, but there ain't nothing worse right now than the Texans. So I don't care what nobody says. Y'all done traded Cooper, and I don't care what nobody. Y'all done traded Hopkins. So y'all definitely
on that note.
Right now. So I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it.
That's a whole nother hour and a half. I'm gonna go.
Hey, they don't went from Hopkins down to the dude that can't play for 6 games a year. I don't even want to hear it. I don't even want to hear it.
Oh man,
y'all just all get it now. Y'all just all get it, laugh, and all that up.
Hey, I'm gonna leave that alone, man.
Y'all just all get it and laughing now, huh?
Hey,
y'all just all get it and laughing now, huh?
Hey, it is what it is, man.
Just all get it and laughing.
It ain't nothing like a Texas fan that's upset.
Yeah,
all right.
I don't
care what nobody say. You can make fun of the Cowboys, but when the Texans mess up, I love it. That's the greatest thing ever.
You ain't lying. It's like Thanksgiving.
I ain't worried about it, because as long as, look, hey, I'm finna let all y'all Cowboy fans know why y'all got me on this video. As long as the slap is breathing, the Dallas Cowboys, I was about to say the Texans, because that's but the Dallas Cowboys will not get past the divisional round as long as I'm breathing.
All right, y'all, we gotta go.
And I'm gonna leave it like that on this debate.
All right.
But now, real talk, man. Thank y'all so much, man. We're gonna try to make this a regular.
No more NFC championships.
Chris, you and B Pat gonna get it going. We're gonna keep this rolling. Who your NBA player, bring them on.
Yeah,
it'll be great, man.
Yeah, please do that.
Hey,
Cliff, what time tomorrow? What time tomorrow you going on?
I get with y'all. I'm on work schedule, so whatever y'all got, we're gonna do it. Man,
what time you going on tomorrow?
I'll be evening time.
We'll
all right, well, just make sure you hit me in the messenger, man. Let me know what time so I can tune in.
Yeah, We need to get
good,
some
man.
baseball. I want to get some baseball talk in with Darren too.
All right,
so,
boy.
yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
OD Brand.
Hey, the Slap
Slap.
713
Hey, Slap, boy.
on YouTube.
Let's
Follow
go.
us right now. Right now. DASLAP 713. Follow EEHENDO. You got all the player interviews. That's your plug, man. If you want to talk to the pros. And my boy D Brown, I don't know if you got a YouTube, but you just
Not yet. Working on it.
work on it, brother. You got stories today, man.
Sideline
Keep working, baby.
coming soon.
Boys gonna learn it. So Hoop Jargon again, like, subscribe, comment, and we out, man.
We out.
Hey.
It was a good job, bro.